Hi, this is Robert with line 6, and in this video we're going to be using the Amplifier remote app to write a Pete Townshend style guitar tone for the Who's classic track Won't Get Fooled Again. Starting out in our music library, swipe to the right on the upper left of the screen to reveal the menu. Select the editor, and in this window we can begin to edit our amp and cab configuration. From doing our research, we learned that Pete Townshend often used a late 50s American Tweed combo amp with a 310 speaker configuration as a pretty consistent studio tool. We currently have the Brit J800 amp loaded, so let's change it over to something more accurate. Let's tap on the red amp icon that's on the left. Here are all of our available British amplifiers, so let's tap on the word type on the left to get to our American options. Select American. For this tone, we're going to use the 1963 Blackface Vibro, which will get us pretty close to the tone that Townshend had on this record. We can either double tap on the amp itself or press on the word done that's on the right. Before making any adjustments to the gain or EQ of this amp, we should change the cabinet to something closer to what Townshend would have used on the original record. Tap the word cab on the right to access the cabinet edit window. Here are our cabinet parameters, and we can see we have the Blackface 212 cabinet currently in place. This makes sense because it loaded with the 63 Blackface Vibro amp that we chose. But to change this over to something closer to Pete Townshend setup, let's tap on the gray amp icon that's now on the left. We don't have a 310 option, but we can choose the 410 Tweed. Let's double tap that one or press done on the right. Now that we've combined an early 60s amp with a late 50s speaker cabinet, we should be able to use this combination to get pretty close to what Pete Townshend would have used on the original Won't Get Fooled Again recording. Let's make our amplifier adjustments before adjusting any other cabinet parameters by tapping on the word amp that's on the right. We're going to increase the drive to 100% to get the amp to naturally overdrive. And remember, Pete Townshend played pretty hard, so he really pushed the front side of the amp. Increase the bass to 75 to add some of the bottom end. Bring the mids down slightly to 88% and the treble down to 75% so our signal isn't too hot. Finally, we'll add in some of those upper mid-range frequencies by increasing the presence to 88%. This will get closer to the snappy nature of Townshend's original Tweed amp. The amp volume will stay at 63%. The last thing we need to do before moving on to additional effects is to change the microphone model that's on the cabinet. Tap cab that's on the right to access the cab options again. We want to move the mic slightly closer to the cabinet by reducing the early reflections to 40% and changing the type of mic to the 57 model off-axis. At this point, we can move on to the other items we'll need to add into the signal chain by tapping on the noise gate block that's at the upper left of the signal chain. Turn it on by using the power button that's on the right. We want this gate to be pretty transparent, so we'll set the threshold to -75 dB and reduce the decay to 0. This will help keep the signal chain quiet if we're using single coil pickups. We'll want to turn on a volume pedal by tapping on the volume block that's next in the signal chain. Turn the volume pedal on using the power button that's on the right. The rhythm guitar track for Won't Get Fooled Again is very straightforward. We won't need to add in any additional stop box or modulation effects right now, but we want to keep them in place so we can use this tone as the foundation for other Who's Next era guitar tones. The last effect that we'll need to add into this signal is reverb. We'll leave the remaining post-amplifier effects in the signal chain in the off position. So let's tap on the reverb block that's the last item in the chain at the upper right. Turn the reverb on using the power icon that's on the right and give it a quick audition with the factory settings. We actually want more of a small room style reverb, so tap on the small reverb icon that's now on the left. This gives us our list of available reverbs, and select the small room in the top row by double tapping it or pressing on the word done. To give the rhythm guitar tone a little bit more size and space, we're going to leave the decay set at 50%, but increase the pre-delay to 65%. We also want to brighten up the reverb by increasing the tone to 55% and bring the mix up to 40%. At this point, we want to save this tone to our Amplify remote, so we'll tap the Save Info tab that's at the bottom of the screen. Here we can save all the information that will allow us to easily find this tone, starting with the title. Here we can select Autofill Song Info to add in all the song details from the current song that's in the music library. The next two sections below will allow us to add in additional tone information and add any references or notes about this particular tone. At this point, we'll hit the Save Tone button that's at the upper left of the screen and save our new tone to this Amplify remote. The final step is to share this tone with the rest of the Amplify community by tapping on the word Share at the upper right. Here we can publish this tone to the Line 6 tone cloud, share it with Twitter followers or friends on Facebook. Thank you very much for your time watching this video. This is Robert with Line 6. See you next time.